Okay, so we're gonna be starting to do new content. So if you like this and you're new to the channel, don't look at anything else we've ever done. So basically what we're doing here is this whole new series of the vlogs, I guess you could say, is I play games or Alex plays games, and we talk about how we can do these games potentially. And I thought, let's start with Among Us, because like Among Us is really popular. I've been playing it. I've been into it. I've been researching the company about it. Alex knows nothing about it, but what Alex knows is programming, and he knows design. And I will say this, that I don't want to use names, and I think everyone who makes tutorials and makes content related to game development is valuable. But Alex is probably 50% better than half of the people out there. And I will stand by that. We just don't ever do anything. so you do my stuff. So anyway, let's talk about Among Us from making a developer standpoint, right? So simply put is that you have these things, you've got a character you control, you come to these doors and you click on things, you open them. That I can do. Do you want to add anything to that, Alex, as I try to figure out how to, oh, there's admin, okay.
Well, the only thing that I want to add is that because maybe because I'm a good programmer, maybe I'm a bad creator of tutorials because I concentrate on making games rather than making tutorials. So that's
That's
my 5 cents.
that's a
I guess I'm
terrible.
a bad.
That's a
Yeah, I guess I'm a,
terrible. Oh my gosh. Okay. And for the record, I am a bad programmer. So here's the thing, but I think I'm a pretty good game designer. If I was a better programmer, I would have a lot more stuff done. So when I look at here, so simply what it is that what you have here in design is in the loop, is that you have this victory of doing tasks. And even though that the game, and I should cite which YouTubers mentioned this, but this game in concept, when I hit the emergency thing and there's a voting in a chat, that is the game called Mafia that was invented in Russia, which is a social game about like, ratting out and convincing other people that someone's guilty of a crime that they may not have committed. But the thing is that what people are missing is that there are tons of games that have been like that. What Among Us adds to the table are these mini games, is this little cute world where you have to do these mini tasks and you can get a victory. So it's really cool as you can, as all those is like the single player, the free play to practice for multiplayer. What happens here is as I'm blinded by this task, as the GUI interface overlaps me, the monster or the killer could kill me right now, and I wouldn't know who it is. I mean, that's that's what makes this game stand out from all the other games that are like this in this genre. In fact, right here, this is where a student of mine died multiple times. The same thing. It's so hard to. Okay, all right. So I know, like, so when I look at this, I think about all these other games. Like what is the game? Not Mass Effect, but what's the game where you're like in water, and you're like there's little orphans.
Bioshock, maybe.
Bioshock,
Yeah,
right?
Bioshock.
The first Bioshock had this great mini water game, right? And what you have here is you have these clever, simple little games that mean something. Did it do it? Take a break. Okay, how do I get out? Did I finish it? Simple mini games that I can't. Oh, I guess I have to ETA. So as I'm waiting for this thing to finish, I could be killed here, right? So this is the other part of the game.
X, but I'm not sure if that will cancel it.
I think it might cancel. I think I have to actually wait for it. Because look here. You're seeing it here. There's a mini task here. And now here's the thing they have on the tasks. You can create a game with mini tasks or long tasks. And again, you could actually beat this game by doing all the tasks, which is funny because that's another game altogether from the Mafia game. I think that's what a lot of other people that were commenting, like making commentaries on the video and how it was made. I think they missed that factor that there's all these little mini games and stuff that make the game fun. It really feels like to me, it feels like a little cute world. I'm going to say this right now. I talked to a kid who hates horror games, absolutely hates horror games. And I said, you hate horror games that are scary. Why do you play Among Us? This thing is like aliens. This thing is horrifying. Oh, they're cute. And like so many people that would be horrified by the gore and the violence, they're okay with it being like really adorable. And I know there's something about that. So, okay, Here, let me ask you a better question. Do you think cute is a fluke? Is cute a fluke?
The first thing that I have to say is that I guess the game has a little bit more content than I realized. I was expecting it to just be moving around. I wasn't aware that it also had the telescope. So, but I believe you said that even to some extent, even the developers are aware of that. So that it
Oh
is.
God, they won the lottery. Okay, I mean,
Yeah, they want a lot.
would you?
Um, so let's talk about designing this game from scratch. Actually, that takes a lot of time. Cloning this game, not as much, not as much. So as such, you will find a lot of games that are very well, maybe not very similar to this one, but kind of use the same in concepts that other indie developers use. So you have things that are you're doing something in the world, maybe shooting, and then you have a mini game, and that kind of creates a game loop where you're running or shooting, and then you do a mini game, running or shooting, and then you do a mini game. That's a cheap way to create a game. So, in the sense that an indie team can pull it off. However, as an indie team, you also need to do amazing marketing. It needs to be. You need to know how to make a cute game so that it becomes a hit. And that didn't happen for Among Us for 2 years.
That's true, because here's the kicker about that. It didn't really have the marketing. You know, it was word of mouth for a while. They did it the indie way, but you know, it's what you call a sleeper hit. So when they're about ready to give up on the game itself, they it ends up like taking off, and it's really cool. Like, now again, this is their third game. What's funny is that their other games, I have to double check them, but they're more complicated than this. And that's why, like,
go ahead.
No, the games that they did before are more complicated than this. So in comparison, it's like, I get, the less is more. You know what I mean? Like,
it doesn't matter actually. So the complexity of the game, if something is a sleeper hit, maybe it doesn't matter. So I mean, no. What I want to say is that it could be your first game, but it could be very complex. It doesn't matter what number of the game it is for a developer. So if somebody is a good developer from creating enterprise software, then he will have most of the skills required to make a decent game. So even 3D, he might learn by creating that game, So it doesn't really matter that this is their third game. What matters is how good can they execute on whatever the size of the game that they decided to make. I guess they did a decent job of gameplay, but they maybe didn't have marketing, so it ended up being a sleeper hit.
I'll say this right now. What's really funny is that, when you talk about testing, and they have this thing where, usually when you make a game, you test it on a keyboard. And so this game is so optimized and feels so good on a keyboard that, like, playing on a controller or even on the phone a little bit, like, it's good on the phone. It feels so much better on the keyboard. And that bias that I've made, this opinion that I've formed, isn't clean, because a lot of my students who play this game have said the same thing, because they started on PC. And even though there's a phone version, it's really hard for them to just go on their phone. They'd rather go back home on their PC and get on their mouse and their keyboard. And again, maybe that's just my bias, or it's been affected by like students I've talked to, but I've like really been blown away with that. It does feel a lot more responsive this way. Okay. Oh my gosh, what happened here?
I just realized we're gonna potentially get a lot of kids hating on this video.
We think kids are gonna hate this video. I love this stuff.
All right, by children. So I guess the way
children and teens and adults, like, I was really surprised. A lot of people in my bracket who have parents were playing it with their kids. So, I mean, finally, it's funny. This thing is violent, and yet somehow it's family friendly.
Well,
Okay.
I guess I believe that YouTubers played it, and then it became popular because YouTubers picked it up. But here's the funny thing: like, if you look at the number of, if you look at what are the biggest channels on YouTube in terms of subscribers, basically 9 out of 10 are children channels. So this game is oriented to children in a sense, like you said, teens and lower, and it happened to maybe that's good design, I guess. It just didn't have the
So,
marketing required at the start.
which is that's what makes that's kind of makes it really cool, and I'm glad that this happened to developers. They've hired a new manager, and they seem to be doing everything right. I do not know what the publisher's take is. I don't know if they were completely an indie label, so hopefully, the money they're getting now is actually going to them. Oh, but FYI, I love this, right? So whether you're in the phone or the PC version, this has crossplay, and what they do is that they have that code right there, and all you do is you type in that code into the interface, and then people will populate your game, which I thought was really cool. I don't know if that's like, what are your thoughts on that? Because to me, that was so simple. I never even thought about it like that. I don't know if they're
So,
secure. Oh, go ahead.
well, by definition, that's not secure. But I mean, the host can just push somebody out, so it's fine. I mean, it's actually a smart way of doing it, I would say, because this way you don't have to do some kind of a funny list of servers and then picking the server that you want to play on. They do have it, but if you just want to join a friend's game, even though he isn't your friend, you can do it immediately. So I like that. I'm gonna steal that. That's smart.
Okay, I'm glad we're taking a look at certain things that they did, because I think that actually does some. Oh man. So the funny thing is that when I have like other people I'm playing with that start off local, we find a game quicker. I like that's interesting, or more people join us. But like when you start as one person, no one like cares. What a loser! I don't want to join that game. All right, 5. Let's just fill up pretty fast. Nope. Wow, it fills up quick. Find another game. You know what? We'll go classic. Let's go class or any. I don't care. Any. What do we got? 510 lulls. All right. Let's see.
So, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about. So you see, they have a full system to make a multiplayer game right now. Servers and the ability to play together and things like that, multiplayer running. So they are like.
I'm the imposter. You get me to see me kill things. There's a cheat where you actually, if you keep switching costumes, you'll be able to become the imposter more. One of my students told me this today. Kids are great.
They have a multiplayer game, and they have the background services to create a game that is far more complex than this in terms of. Well, let's say they make a 3D game. They're in a really good position to do that. So it's actually interesting just how similar the amount of work is to get a game like this going compared to getting a 3D game going, because servers are the same. The way to join is more or less the same, especially for a mobile game. So I'm really hoping that the guys go all out on their next game, when this starts to die down and they really show what they can make. Remember how when we used to talk about how making a game like this actually gets you like 60-70% of the way to making a 3D game that you can start to compete with. Well, maybe not really compete, but you can have a 3D first-person shooter, or you can have a 3D, well, maybe not an MMO, but you can have the 3D multiplayer platformer on a game like that relatively easily just with their code base.
I think that's pretty much that wraps it for the video. I mean, do you have any other thoughts on this? I don't want to talk too much on
I
this.
have a lot of thoughts, but we have to cut it at some point, and yeah, we definitely.
Well, we can do more if people have any, if anyone watching this video wants more, and we can do more. Like,
let's discuss. Let's just discuss what is required for a game like this. So you need the 2D graphics, obviously. You need animation. I mean, you need a relatively decent character, so nothing special there. You need a few levels, I guess, and so
you're gonna need different GUIs. That's for sure. You're gonna have different interfaces. The map is an interface.
Yeah, so
animation's super simple. I thought of the animation like they have no arms.
This isn't.
The borders are pretty well done too.
This isn't too hard to make. To make let's say a single-player game that copies what you see here. There is like content in this game that I wasn't even aware that it existed because I never saw it, like the telescope game and then the little, the other mini games that exist. So if you're creating a single player game here, you can kind of try to create a clone relatively fast. So the interesting part is getting this to work on